It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Ladies and gentlemen, if you look on the gigantic Sharp Interactive board, you'll know it's time for Konica Minolta's preview of the numbers, if you will. 9 months in, they published their third quarter numbers. I like to put a picture on the front slide of the Konica Minolta's presentations. Today's picture is a little bit better than some of the ones with the bloodbath, right? But not much. Today's picture represents the runner just about ready to cross the 1% finish line after being buried in 0%, negative percents, not making any money for years, right? We're finally there. Our fingers are touching that 1% profit line. Ladies and gentlemen, 1% is a rounding error, and it usually rounds back to zero. It's nothing to get excited about. But I'm sure our industry's analysts and media are going to be talking about how Konica Minolta is returning to fantastic profitability. I'm sure the leaders over at Konica Minolta will tell their team the guy in the basement doesn't know what he's talking about, because our digital print business, our workplace, and our professional print business, we are killing it. All covered is knocking it out of the park. We are doing so well in the print business. The only thing I could say to that executive is this: if your train is about ready to wreck and it derails, it doesn't really matter if a couple of cars stay on the track just a little bit longer, because eventually they fall off too. The train becomes inoperable. It derailed. And the conglomerate called Konica Minolta is a train just about ready to derail. Now let's dig into some numbers. Top line revenue for the entire company was $5.7 billion the first 9 months. $58.8 million operating profit, 1%. I got underlined over there, when will Konica actually make money? 1%. Ladies and gentlemen, it's nothing to brag about. Let's dig into that digital workplace professional print business. Combined together, they did $4.4 billion. Had an operating profit combined together of $194.9 million, 4.4%. You all are saying that's fantastic. See, Ray? Our leaders are right. We're killing it with our copier, printer, IT services business. We're selling a bunch of those workplace hub machines. Our 4X is even doing well. The part that we count inside the digital workplace. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a whole nother episode. But I wanted to show this over here. $143.6 million in losses in corporate, etc. You can see it right down here, $143 million. And ladies and gentlemen, the company overall is at $58.8 million. At the end of the day, 1%. So the 4% that this printer business, if you will, is doing for Konica Minolta, it's not enough to pull them out of the weeds. And quite honestly, I'm really concerned about this corporate, etc. I do want to share a slide. So we all remember back in November of 2019, Konica Minolta, in one of their many, many press releases, because they love to do a press release to distract the marketplace, in my opinion, from the realities of their company. But it's been 39 months, and I'm asking the question, is it a negative, or are they actually making money in ForexAI? And when you read what ForexAI is, Konica's really good with the word salads, by the way. You don't know what the hell they're even talking about half the time. But how does this translate into dollars? And more importantly, profit from those dollars? And this is what you find in the description of what's going on with the corporate, etc. And let me just read asterisk number 2. Adjustments for head office expenses. Some part of expenses regarding the whole corporate have been transferred to each business segment until FY2022 and has not been transferred in FY2023. These figures in the table are the ones after adjusting the cost allocation of FY2022 results to the FY2023 base reference. They include common expenses in digital workplace and professional print business. And also in that number is an impairment loss on Visual Solutions Unit Planetarium. So they took an impairment charge against planetariums. I remember I did an episode on Konica Minolta being in the planetarium business, and some folks thought I was doing a satire. They thought it was made up. No, it was true. And like most of the things that Konica Minolta gets into, well, guess what? They're doing impairment charges against it. But ladies and gentlemen, we really got to understand what's in this corporate, etc. And if there's any kind of print cost being buried in there to beef up those profits, it really would be nice to really understand that 100%. And I'm not convinced that, well, I just think there's more to the story than the 4%, if you will. I wanted to dig into each business unit, so let's start with the digital workplace. And ladies and gentlemen, what I did is I created the slides from the slides that are in the deck on the Konica Minolta Investor Relations tab. But I took the first quarter, put it right next to the second quarter, put it right next to the third quarter. I totaled them all up and I did some math. And I want to share some thoughts on the math I did. 9 months in, total revenue is $3.1 billion. DWDX is $442.1 million, or 14% of the $3.1 billion. And Office is $2.6 billion, 85.7% of the $3.1 billion. Operating profit is $134.7 million in the digital workplace business unit. 4%. But I started thinking to myself, you know, this DWDX that they've been bragging about forever, it goes back to the time that the now current CEO of Konica Minolta Americas put it in an article that they were knocking it out of the park with all covered. And it would really be nice to understand what exactly knocking it out of the park means regarding profit. I mean, are they actually making profit? Because at the end of the day, you would think that this DWDX, these digitalization services, you know, the stuff that's described in all the word salads that Konica Minolta publishes, would be making a lot of money. And if it is making a lot of money, that would mean that the Office unit that sells all the MFPs isn't making a lot of money. And you would think if anybody can make any money in print, it would be an OEM that's been in print for a long time, Konica Minolta being one of those OEMs. And so the question is, who's sucking who here? Is it the DWDX sucking all the profit out, or is it the Office sucking all the profit out? Because at 4%, I mean, what, you know, Konica Minolta's this shining ship, right? That got into all these alternative services, and we're going to change the world, and we're going to be ready for the new era when people print a whole lot less. But at the end of the day, they can't make any money doing it, and that's a big question. Here's an example, ladies and gentlemen. $2.6 billion in the Office unit. Okay, that was the number. If they had a 5.2% operating profit in that group, that would be $135 million. The whole group only did $134.7 million. So the question is, what is the operating profit in Office and what is the operating profit in DWDX? And I'm guessing DWDX are selling everything they sell at a negative, and the operating profit is all coming out of the Office. But boy, wouldn't it be nice if they could say, no, we got a 25% operating profit in DWDX because we're out there selling valuable services, and we know how to price those valuable services. Lots of questions, ladies and gentlemen. Down here, they put in here Office digital workplace business, and they're talking about the profitability. Office profit increase due to the effect of production cost reduction, the reduction of logistics costs, lower air transit expenses, and others. And here's what I'm saying: situation cost cuts. It's not managing costs. You got lucky because you got better situations, but it doesn't tell me that the leadership has the ability to cut costs at this company. I mean, what cost? I mean, everybody gave Xerox a bunch of crap a couple of weeks ago because they announced a 15% reduction in workforce. And at the end of the day, they have to make tough decisions. They get out in front of it. They make the tough decisions. Our friends at Konica Minolta, thankfully, we had some situational things happen that allow us to cut costs. I mean, that's what they're telling the whole world. They're not telling the whole world they got the discipline to actually cut costs. We need to pay attention to that. Let's look at the professional print. 9 months, $1,278 million. The marketing services. What the hell are these marketing services? I wish Konica would actually do a webinar. Instead of doing a webinar trying to explain their financials and talk about nothing, why don't they do a webinar and explain to the whole damn marketplace what in the hell is marketing services? And what's the profitability of marketing services? It's 22% of the professional print business. What's the profitability of that? Industrial print's $175.2 million for 9 months. It's 14% of the revenue. $175.2 million. Why are they even in this? This is a serious question. Why are they in the industrial business? Is this where all their profit comes from? The $175 million is at 80% profit. We got to stay in it, sell more. They're going to sell 1 or 2 of these machines a year if they're lucky. Ladies and gentlemen, I think they should question getting out of that. Professional print, $823.6 million, 64% of the $1,278 million for the professional print business unit. What's the operating profit of that? Everybody's talking about it. You got all these consultants out there and the industry analysts telling everybody how fantastic professional print is. You better get in professional print. Ladies and gentlemen, I would want to know what the operating profit is on that $823.6 million, but they don't tell you that. They lump it all together and hope everybody just doesn't pay attention. I put a little comparison over here. Canon's production print, and I think some of Canon's production print would be considered industrial print over here at Konica Minolta. But at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, their operating profit is fantastic on it. It's off the charts. Their revenue is off the charts, $2.7 billion for the year. And so I just think that Konica should be answering some questions. It says down here, professional print business, talking about the operating profit. Production print, profit decreased. Industrial print, deficit improved. Marketing services, profit increased. This is all a bunch of crap without the details. Why do people put up with that shit? Seriously, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, production print, profit decreased. What profit? We don't even know what the profit was. You know? Industrial print, deficit improved. What deficit? What deficit you talking about? Ladies and gentlemen, they really got to get into the details of this. And if they don't get into the details of it, they're not going to be able to manage it themselves, let alone tell the world what's actually going on. I took this off the consolidated statements, and I just want to point out they have a 57% cost of revenue, cost of sales, we call it. You know, back if you look at 2018, 2019 time frame, that was running about 53, 52%. It's running at 57% today. And I believe what Konica Minolta is doing is chasing revenue at all costs. They're trying to get that top line number to keep growing. And at the end of the day, when you look at the print business, that top line number has been pretty flat for a long time. And being pretty flat in print business today is actually growth. The problem is you're not making enough money on it. And the reality of it is chasing revenue at all costs, you're not going to win. As Orlando Bravo said just a couple of years ago, it'll be those companies that focus on profitability. But I think 57% cost of sales is too high. Gives them a gross profit of 43%. And, you know, this is Konica overall. And think of some of those business units that Konica has, the medical. I mean, that's all services, high-end stuff. There should be lots of profit in that. Their industry business, there should be lots of profit in that. Their print business, hell no, there's not a lot of profit in that because print's a commodity being, you know, the race to the bottom is still going on. But they're in this DWDX and all these other things that should have been offsetting the losses from the print side. But we don't know because they don't share any of those details. Selling and general expenses are 42% of the revenue. I'm going to dig a little bit deeper into this when we get to the end of the year for Konica Minolta. Stay tuned. But I wanted to look at this print business. I took 2018, 19, 20, 21, and 22, kind of put it all together. The first thing I want to do is discuss 22, 21, 20, and 19. And total revenue is $14 billion. Total revenue is $14 billion in the digital workplace for the years 2019, 2020, 2021, and 2022. They had a 1% operating profit of $164 million over that period of time. $14 billion in the print business. Okay, digital workplace with a 1% operating profit since 2019. The professional print was $5.6 billion over those years, $95 million in operating profit of $1.7 million. And over those 4 years, by the way, the corporate etc. lost $485.3 million. You see why I don't give a crap about these numbers up here? Until Konica has a lot more discipline explaining what the hell's in this corporate etc. But I looked at 2018. This is well before the pandemic. Top line revenue for office was 587.9 billion yen. If you look at where the top line revenue is in the year 2022, for the whole year it was 600.3 billion yen. I realize there was some fluctuations in the Forex. But at the end of the day, this company's revenue is flat. Their run rates are pretty much the same this year as they were over the last 4 years. And that's telling me that you have a company in Konica Minolta that is strictly focused on revenue. The numbers are proving it. They're focused on revenue, but they're not focused on profitability. And it's gonna really kill them. Oh, by the way, the company overall, I ran down here at the bottom. In 2022, in case people forgot, they lost $640.3 million. In 2021, they lost 150.3 million. In 2020, they lost 109.9 million. And in 2019, they actually made 55.3 million, 8.8%. So Konica's had struggles making money for a long time. There's the proof. Ladies and gentlemen, the forecast, it's unchanged, but what is it? Top line revenue, $7.9 billion, $123 million in operating profit projection. They need to do $64.2 million in the fourth quarter to hit that number, and even if they hit it, I say it's a goal of 1.5%. Wow! And that's not a good wow. That's like, wow. If my fingers are just a little bit longer, I could touch that 1%, maybe the 1.5% line. Very scary, ladies and gentlemen. Digital Workplace Business Unit. Operating profit of $121.3 million they want to end up with. That'd be 2%. I just got to ask, what's holding Konica back from reasonable goals? And I put up here at the top, WTF kind of goal is this? They're actually projecting an operating profit loss of $222.2 million in corporate, etc. Crazy. I wanted to look at their assets real quick. Konica Minolta, or let's look at their cash flow. Cash flow first. They got $89.6 million in free cash flow for FY2023, 9 months in. That's 1.5% of the revenue. I just want to do a little comparison against Canon. Canon's got $1.2 billion in free cash flow. It's 5.5% of the revenue. Xerox has 10% of the revenue in free cash flow. I just thought that was an interesting statistic. Let's look at their assets. 62% of assets are encumbered. Konica Minolta's asset to equity ratio is 38%. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm still very concerned about their goodwill and intangible assets. It's $1.8 billion. They got $1.8 billion in intangible and goodwill. So get ready for some more impairments, like we see just recently with their planetariums. I want to just really quick talk about some of the things that they've done that you would think would have been able to help them save some money, at least here in the United States. Brought Canada and the U.S. together. Fired marketplace VPs across the country. Did not replace U.S. President of Direct. Remember that? The Direct President and the VP of Marketing left on the same day. I did an episode on that. And I don't believe they replaced either one of them. I know they didn't replace the President yet. I might have missed they replaced the VP of Marketing because they do so much marketing about the awards they won. I don't pay attention to half the marketing they put out there. Dumped 21 direct operations to a few dealers. That had to be weighing them down with costs. Terminated many all-covered executives. That's just in the U.S. What else around the world? What's going on in Europe with Konica Minolta? Ladies and gentlemen, the bottom line is they talk about how great everything is and we're killing it. We're doing all this wonderful thing, and they keep terminating people. They don't really address realities of their market. They still, I call them the pretender. They're the pretender OEM. They pretend everything's going great. Show a picture of the race car. You know, call up somebody and see if they'll publish an award for us so we can distract the marketplace from what's going on in our reality. They remind me of Visual Edge. I call them the pretenders in the mega dealer space. Let's pretend nothing's going on with our company. Let's pretend we're not in a financial train wreck with our BDC lender. Let's show a picture of some famous athlete standing next to us and tell the whole world everything's going great. Ladies and gentlemen, pretending's not going to get it. Chasing revenue at all costs is not going to get it. The bottom line is organizations have to focus on profitability like never before, especially in a declining marketplace. More to come. Here's my thinking. I think they eliminate all covered. I think they finally realize there's an issue. They need to get rid of it. And I think they start with apparent worthless assets underneath all covered. You'll start seeing them clean some of that stuff up. And I use Forza as an example because everybody here in the United States realizes what an absolute disastrous ERP system that was when Konica Minolta bought it. But at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, there's got to be something happen over there at Konica Minolta. Part 2 of this episode, I'm going to talk about what happened to the Dream. You can see the Dreams, the glass is broken. There's a hammer over here, and the question to ask is who broke the glass of the Dreams? Who used the hammer on the Dreams? Was it the leadership at Konica Minolta not having the discipline or the ability to transition the company to make the company profitable? Was it the marketplace that used the hammer? Was it acquisitions without real thought process of how they were going to deliver those acquisitions? Who used the hammer on Konica Minolta's Dreams? Something to think about, my friends, and everybody watching me knows this. Status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo, and I'll see you all tomorrow.